Alright, I'm going to take a hopefully less than 10-minute video on this lawnmower I just got a couple weeks ago, and what's wrong with it and what I've done so far and what still has to be done. Um, this is a probably a mid-90s. I know that they were made from 92 to 98 or so. John Deere LX176 has a 14 horsepower Kawasaki FC 420V on it, and I'll turn this fan off for you guys. It arrived to me with several issues, and they're kind of still showing up, but I think I'm on the last thing. You know, famous last words, of course. That never is the case, it seems like. Um, you know, my friend was getting rid of this. He didn't want it, so he gave it to me. So, also with our big yard, we're still paying for a mowing service. We would kind of like to stop having to do that. It's about $50 to $60 a week to cut every 2 weeks now, about. So, anyway, the reason for even trying to do all this crap is just really just to have a project, and also, you know, to actually do something. And I've always wanted a lawn tractor, especially a John Deere. You know, I know a lot of their newer ones are garbage, except for the X series. But since I can't afford one of those, I have this, and I understand this was kind of the step right under the garden tractor series in the 90s. So anyway, the first problem I figured out was pretty obvious. Three of the tires were flat. This was the only good one. The back one on that side seems to hold air. Seems fine still. I've had air in it for 3 days. And I replaced these two tires. Well, I didn't replace them, but I put tubes in them. And so after like 3 tries, I finally got it right, and they're holding air now, finally. So the next issue was probably the worst issue in terms of just the need for it to be right, properly fixed. And so under here, in this idler system, you can see this washer right here. It's already sketchy, right? Well, that, I don't know, I can't really see my phone, but that back pulley right there was it looked like it was all bent. Well, both of the idler pulleys, well, the idler and the tensioner were both shattered. Basically what happened, I guess, is the belt sheared off, because I found bits and pieces of it everywhere under there, and it just destroyed the pulleys, absolutely mangled them. And here's one of them. This is the better of the two, and also bearing and shot, of course. So I replaced that. Well, I replaced the pulleys. I figured out that they still weren't straight, and the belt guides under there were also completely dickered, like, especially the one in the front. Like I said, I'm just using my phone. I can't really bend over far enough to see. That one with the yellow washer or bearing seal on it, the guide was completely screwed up, so I had to replace that. I mean, I didn't actually replace the part, even though I have it. I just bent it back, and I'm going to hope for the best, but I probably will eventually put the new one in anyway. The back one I fixed, and what the actual problem was with this being bent was not the bolt or anything else. This bolt just goes right through a slot in the chassis, and it's slotted so it doesn't turn. But this was all bent up. This was like one side was lifted up, so it made the bolt all cockeyed. So I fixed that and put a washer on it. I just couldn't get it straight enough, no matter what I did. So now that that's all fixed, I was able to put a belt on, but because the motor was running like gas, I couldn't actually drive it. Now that I got tires and the belt on, I realistically could drive it if the motor ran. Now, I'm going to turn you over here. The motor does run, kind of. What I figured out was the head gasket was fine, the valves were fine, all that stuff. I first found that this was burning oil like mad. This was really bad. It was just chugging out black oil, or white oil, and there was black oil like everywhere. You can see it still. I haven't even cleaned it. You can see the oil in here. Well, when I turn the engine, I'll be able to see that oil come up. And I know it's hard to see, but what I figured out was the piston rings are bad. See, there's the oil sitting in there. It may be kind of hard to see, but more than there should be. Thankfully, the cylinder walls are actually fine. They're almost mirror still. I know that this is pretty hard to see as well. You can see the oil in there now, but the cylinders or the cylinder is perfectly fine. And the piston I just scratched on it with a screwdriver to see if there's a crack or something. So there is a little bit of play in the piston too. It's not really enough to see on camera, but if you kind of push it back and forth, it kind of teeters a little bit. Also, there was a lot of blow by. I didn't know if it was normal. It's definitely not. So oil, when it would run, even if I had it like this, oil would splatter out of here all the time. And also, there was gas in the oil. I could tell by the smell, and then I drained it all out, and you could see the frothy mess. I just knew it was gas. I could smell it and see it and everything. So I got those on the way. In a few days, I'll be doing that. So what I'm doing right at this moment is tearing this all down. And all I've done so far today was take the clutch off. And here's the clutch. I took the muffler off the other day. It's got oil. It's going to burn oil for a while because it's in the muffler. But the clutch is something I'm not 100% sure about. Because when I took this off, it fell right out. Just like, pretty easily. So it's all good. But this bearing seal, this is a double sealed bearing. It's a little Delrin or something like that. It fell right out. It just think of this being on just like this into the mower. It fell to the floor and this came right off. And you can't really see on camera again, but these are slightly worn down, and it's not. I don't think it's supposed to do that. I think right now it's technically engaged, but I don't know. Also, this was done. Some jackass cut these wires and twisted them. So now I have to install new plugs and everything. This pulley's fine. I mean, kind of. It's pretty straight. The key just fell out of it. So, what I have to do is I have to take this engine off. There's no way you can change a piston ring set with the engine on the mower. You can see too, if I can find my light, let's see if we can get it here. The crank seal is not even leaking. I'm surprised by that. It's completely dry under there, and the last time I actually attempted to run it was a few days ago, and it only ran on choke. But anyway, there's like a 3-inch hole there. That's not nearly enough. So with that being said, it's already 8 minutes somehow. All the electronic stuff works to a degree. Obviously, the wires have to be twisted together for them to work, but it does work. The only thing that didn't work actually was, got the plug for it right here, the fuel shutoff solenoid. So I just ground off the little nub inside the solenoid. Also, there's this little wire. I have no idea what it's for, and that's kind of scary, but I haven't found. It's probably for the lights, but I actually don't know. But I'll find out. Also, as you could probably imagine, hood is completely shot. Actually, the only broken part is the top section. I might just run it without the top. I do plan to actually use it at least for a year or two, however long I can get out of it. So, now for what I've actually done so far, besides the tires, fixing the belt, the dry belt situation, and I did replace the fuel pump. I also replaced the oil filter. Spark plug's not in it. It's up on the workbench. I tried to replace the head gasket, but I haven't yet because I didn't want to ruin it. It's an aluminum gasket. You'll literally have to buy a new one if you put it on, at least the way I understand it. So I'm not going to do that, but when I do get the piston rings in, it should run perfectly fine. You can even see oil coming out right there. It just drained everywhere out of that head when I took it off. Head looks good too, by the way. So this video is somehow my phone's about to run out of space for this stupid video, so hopefully I can get an update in a few days, and we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching.